All right, this is John Mylant with Agent to Agent, and I am interviewing Amy Merrill from upstate New York. How are you, Amy?
Good. How are you, John?
I'm doing well. And we're interviewing Amy today. She had quite a early April. She ended up having 6 listings in 6 days, which is really cool because a lot of agents don't do that. So, Amy, I'm going to open this up to you. Why don't you tell us how did you develop this network and the ability to bring so much business in so fast in periods like this? What did you do?
Well, it's really all about relationships. I moved to this market 2.5 years ago, and I didn't know anyone here and didn't know the market.
Wow.
So a lot of it is networking with vendors and other professionals in the area to meet them and get to know them because they either are or know future buyers and sellers and investors.
Give us an example of some of the vendors that you're talking about.
Sure. So anybody, loan officers, I'm going to need loan officers and home inspectors and photographer and any other type of vendors. You know, I see a vendor at a gas station and I ask for their card. You know, their contractor, plumber, or a landscaper even. In our area, there's a lot of people that need their driveways plowed in the winter because we have long driveway, sometimes uphill, and so they need those services. So anyone that I think could be beneficial to my clients, I'll reach out to them. I looked in our area, small community. They still use the penny saver publications for a lot of things. So I reached out to vendors and said, hey, you know, I'm a new realtor to the area, and I'm looking for vendors to add to my database for my clients that I'm going to have. And so, you know, I reached out to a chimney sweep and a house cleaner and different things like that, locksmith, and, you know, try to think, well, what are people in this area going to use? What types of vendors? Because I'm in a completely different market than I was in before. Very rural area, seasonal properties, vacation properties, lakefront, woods, hills, a large variety of types of residences here. Wow. So I tried to think of all those vendors and reached out to them and see what way could we market together, or could I just have their information and how could I add value to them so that it was worth their while. So I have an app for my vendors and they're all on the app, and it's called Homekeeper. So one thing about this is my brokerage actually provides this for us. So I would tell them, I'll put you on my app, and then each month there's a blog and a newsletter. So it goes out and they'll say, hey, you know what? It's almost time to clean your chimneys. It's getting cool out. You're going to want to start up your fireplaces. So you should call a chimney sweep. And here's some vendors that you might want to call to do that. So that's a value add to my vendors. And
the app is called Home something. What's it called again?
Homekeeper. Mm-hmm. But no E between the P and
R. Homekeeper. Okay. Who can anybody get that app, or is it produced by a particular company, or what?
No, I believe anyone can get the app. Homekeeper is the company, okay. And just our brokerage adds it as a value add for us.
Wow.
And it's been great. They give me permission to put a little blurb on my blog, and that also goes to Facebook and Twitter. And people, I actually have clients. At first it goes kind of slow, but I have clients signing up for the blog because it'll remind them, oh, it's time to clean your gutters and different home maintenance tips. So it's a value add to my clients and to the vendors. So I meet a lot of vendors that way. And a lot of the vendors are very thankful that I would add them to my app. And then we can direct clients, well, did you look at the app to find a vendor? You know, I want to be a resource for you after the sale too. And so they can look on the app to see what vendors might be helpful to them.
Now, as you started this is amazing because, you know, in 2.5 years to suddenly get 6 listings in 6 days is not the average agent. So when you first got there a couple 2.5 years ago, did you start doing this right away, or did you start doing this and something else where did your business start from? Was it from the vendors giving you business, or how did it all develop?
So no, not really vendors giving me business yet, but I do a lot of networking. So I really belong strongly in networking. So I joined some interest groups. I have Huskies. I joined a Husky club.
Okay.
So I met people that way. I get business from there. I have children in the military, so I joined the Blue Star Mom. I got business from there. Just as you get to know people in the community, anytime I was able to be involved in the community in some way, I did. I did a food drive for 3. My goal was 6 families, but I only had 3 families nominated. We did 3 families in the area where we provide Thanksgiving dinner to them. And I actually had a member of the public step up and say, I want to donate some money towards this. And then we kept in touch, and we made a little flyer to say this is from the Amy Merrill team and this citizen who's part of our community, and we just wanted to give you a good Thanksgiving. And we're actually, because of this community members' generosity, we were actually able to we had breakfast, dinner, and a bunch of canned goods and frozen foods for probably last them a week with food and a freezer bag and a gift certificate to the local grocery store, because it's a very rural community.
Sure.
So their grocery store is very expensive. So I was able to go to Sam's Club and buy a lot of things in bulk for them. So that the money went a long ways. And then they had fresh turkeys, not frozen, fresh turkeys and food. So they didn't have to worry about thawing out a turkey. They made that mistake one year. And then, just got our name out there, and not that I expect anything in return, but just getting your name out there in any way you can, helping out in the community, is another way to network. There's all different ways to network.
So you have this philosophy, give to give, basically.
Yes, absolutely. What you put out there will come back.
Sure. Well, I like that. That's pretty cool. Very, very cool. There's a company called sendoutcards.com that actually has that slogan, I believe.
Yeah.
Obviously it works really, really well. So that's cool.
Yes.
Very, very cool. So now, as as time progresses, you meet these people. So we're kind of going this 2.5-year cycle here. So
Yes.
You get involved in the community, you're meeting people, talking to people. As you meet people, are you putting them into a CRM at all, just to track them and stay in touch with them?
Oh, yes. Everybody I meet goes to my CRM. Everyone, I don't care who they are, they go in there. And, I write notes on how do I know them, any information I can gather about them. Do they have kids? Do they have pets? Do they, anniversaries, birthdays, anything? And I'll reach out to them for various reasons throughout the year. And depending on how I met them and what the relationship is, I'll also have client events.
Okay.
So that's what we talked about. The client events is just a way to get in touch with your current and past clients, to reach out to them and say, hey, without asking them for referrals, you're just keeping that relationship alive with them so that you stay top of mind, and call them and talk about their kids. That's several touches. You talk about these touch programs. It's several touches a year that you're reaching out to them.
Can I ask you a question about the client event? Okay, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you about, if you can expound a little bit just on the client events. How many do a year? Some ideas of the things you do, and has business ever come in from doing these things?
Sure. So in our region, at least, client events are a fairly new thing that people are doing. And I had heard about it from, a Facebook group that I belong to. And I thought that's a really good way to keep in touch with clients without having to specifically ask them for referrals, because you have several times that you're reaching out to them. You're reaching out to them.
You want to push that Facebook group, just if it's good?
I don't remember. I don't remember which group it was. So
Go ahead.
Sure. So I reach out to them to tell them about the event and invite them to remind them about the event, to follow up afterwards. What do they like about the event? And, one client I called and they weren't available. I left a voicemail And just a couple days later, they called me to say, hey, I'm so upset I'm not going to be able to make your event. I really want to come to the next one. And by the way, I have a friend that wants to buy a house. I gave her your information. And that friend, that was for our Christmas event. So that friend called me, and we started looking for houses. And about 3 weeks later, she referred me to one of her friends. So now I have 2 buyers just because I honestly hadn't talked to these people in 2 years. This was my first client event. I called and I invited them. So they thought about me when someone said, I want to buy a house. It made them think about me. It kept me top of mind.
Sure.
And so that was really great. And then, you know, of course, I had past clients come to my house or come to my Christmas party, and we did a drawing. If they gave me a referral, they would be entered into a drawing. And if they downloaded my app, they would be entered into a drawing. And there was other things. We had fun games and activities. And so my one client is sitting there thinking, who needs to buy or sell a house? And she stood there for 10 minutes thinking just so she could write down a name and get in the drawing. There really was someone. She's like, I know somebody. There really was someone buying a house. So definitely just keeping in touch with your clients, that's networking too. And these client events are networking with your clients and vendors, even if you're affiliated relationships. It's networking is keeping you top of mind in everyone's minds.
Sure. Have you ever invited vendors to your client events?
Yeah, so for our Christmas party, we did invite a vendor. He wasn't able to come, but he provided cookies, so we made sure we talked him up and put a sign out and his business cards. And then actually I'm having another, so my next client event is in 2 weeks, and I invited a vendor to that as a guest.
Okay.
And this doesn't, the Christmas party, you know, we pretty much paid for ourselves. Mm-hmm. We just chose to. And then this event actually is free. We're just taking advantage of this free thing. We put our card, we took our son to a distillery for a tour and a tasting. And we put our cards, my husband's a realtor too, we put our cards in the little drawing, win a free lunch or something. We put our cards in there, and they emailed both of us and said, hey, you and 10 friends won a tour and tasting at our brewery.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, client event, we've got 2 of them. And the only thing we're going to have to pay for is we're getting like a variety appetizer board. It's costs like $30. It's going to cost us $30 for each
That
of
is
those.
a great idea.
Yeah, and it's fun, right?
Yes.
You're tasting beer or the beers they make, and you're having fun. And if they want to order more cocktails while they're there, they can. And then we're going to invite everybody to walk down to the restaurant next door to see if they want to have lunch with us. You know,
that's cool.
Afterwards, so it'll just be a nice, fun, relaxing thing. And again, it's no pressure. Mm-hmm. You know, I know there's some agents that will ask for referrals at those events, and I'm sure I'll probably create some events centered more around that, or where I plan to do that. But for now, I just want to reconnect with my past clients and current clients and keep them top of mind and build that relationship.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool.
And so I think I started talking, I did invite one of my vendors to that, just to come as a guest. So.
Very nice. Very nice. So well, this is really good. Amy. We see a beautiful build up here. This is really hard. You go to a community where you don't know anybody. You know, for most agents, I know newer agents. You know, I work with agents all over North America, and one of the first things that I try to teach them to do is focus on your sphere of influence, right?
Right.
Well, when you go to an area and you don't have a sphere of influence, and you got to start, you know, it's getting out there, networking just the way you did was just an incredible idea. People with the same interest, getting out with the vendors, having client events. I mean, those are just great things. Now, let me ask you this, and this talks about work ethic, okay?
Yes.
What you did is very hard, especially in a 2-year period. I mean, I am massively impressed. It's just incredible. Obviously, there's some traits that are very important in terms of getting up in the morning and just being consistent in doing things. If you could give agents, whether they're new or old, that might be struggling right now, okay, any advice about what kind of characteristics they need to be able to succeed like you? Let's say that you wrote a book and put a whole plan together for them, right? They have your book,
Okay.
and can do exactly what you do. What are these internal characteristics that they need to, that if they don't have, it doesn't matter if they have 20 of your books. It's not going to help.
So I think, first of all, you have to develop good habits, and habits take a while to form, right? So you just have to be very disciplined and make sure you're sticking to a schedule. And I have a time blocked schedule.
Okay.
So, you know, I am in my office every morning at 8 a.m. I mean, I'm kind of lucky. I have like a 10-second commute. We put a little cabin on our property, so I don't have to drive anywhere. So that makes it a little easier. But I am up at 5 a.m. every day, even though I have a 10-second commute. I have that time in the morning where I get ready. I'm ready. I have time to, you know, sit back and relax while I'm eating my breakfast, talk to my husband a little bit before we start business, and then spend some time with my dogs. And then we will go to the office at 8 a.m. And every morning we talk about, we go over, we have our daily stand-up, we call it. So we go over our business. You know, what's active, what's pending, what's coming up, and what actions do we need to take on each of these every day. And then I do my prospecting. Starting at 8:15, I get all my calls ready, and by 8:30, I'm on phone calls. So I will call expired listings and FSBOs.
Okay.
And that's my first.
Okay.
And then I'm going to call expireds and FSBOs specifically that might match one of our buyers. We've got a major shortage of inventory. So my husband will look up the properties for me, and then I'll call on them and say, I have a buyer. Your house matches their criteria. Are you still thinking about selling your property? Sometimes they hang up on me. And it happens. You just have to say next and move on, right? And then any leads that come in, buyers, sellers, I call them, and then I'll call people from my sphere as well. And now part of prospecting, people think prospecting has to be cold calling a lot of times, but we can write thank you notes, letters to people, follow-up letters after we've made a phone call. So one thing I've done to make it easier is I have a template I came up with. And so after I make a phone call, I can just print this out. My husband, he does all of our marketing material, so he made it pretty. You just print it out. I can sign it. We stick it in the envelope, and it goes out to make it easy. And then what else? So really until about 11 a.m., I'm making phone calls. And then at 11, I'm calling. My husband does some of this too, but I'm calling and following up on transactions and updating our clients and following up with attorneys, loan officers, et cetera, whoever we have to follow up with to make sure the transaction keeps moving forward smoothly. Mm-hmm. And then afternoons primarily are for appointments. Now, obviously, this may change some days, but sure. What we've tried to make a rule to do is, if I absolutely have to change and have an appointment in the morning, I'm just making sure that I'm changing my lead gen time to a different time, rescheduling that for the same day. Or maybe one day I had 2 showing appointments, two listing appointments, a buyer showing, and I had to write an offer. So the next day I just doubled down on my lead gen. Okay. And sometimes, like on Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings, no one calls on Saturday mornings. Very few agents call on Saturday mornings, and everyone's home. So especially if you start calling, I start calling at 10. I won't call before 10 on Saturdays. So I start calling at 10, and I get a lot of people answering on Saturdays. And they're not hurried. They're not trying to fix dinner. They're not just walking in the door from work. They're a little bit more relaxed. So sometimes I have some really good luck on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. And really people are more relaxed and more open to talking to you. So you just have to be disciplined, I think. in everything that you do, you know, and just stick with it. Don't let yourself give up. There are days I don't want to get out of bed. And there are definitely days my husband doesn't want to get out of bed.
I'll have those
But,
days, you know.
yeah, we just have to crack the whip and say, you know what, we're getting out of bed. We have to do this, because every day in real estate, you're looking for a new job every day. You're looking for a new listing or a new buyer to help, you know, sell property to them or for them. And, you know, it's okay to ask them for referrals too. Or how are you happy with my service?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know of anyone else looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? It's a really simple question that a lot of us don't ask. So I even have to get more disciplined on that. And now that I put that out there, I have to. So I just think you have to be disciplined. You have to be organized. You should have systems, some type of system. How are you keeping in touch with your clients? How are you keeping track of your clients? You know, there are some really inexpensive CRMs out there. Some of them are $200 and some a month. You don't have to pay that much. You know, there's a lot of great programs. There's one that's $99 a year. That's what we use.
Which one is that?
And it's Realty Juggler.
Okay.
And it's not as pretty as some of them, but it's more functional than most of them.
Okay.
And here's another little tip too. This wasn't planned tip, but with Realty Juggler, if you get a referral fee, you get you always get your you get a 3-month free trial. But if you use someone's referral link, after you sign up, you get another 2 months free. So you pay for 1 year, $99, and you actually have another 5 months free. So it's like paying 17 months. And then the person referring to you gets 2 months free. So, you know, I've been asked to serve on panels where there's different CRMs. I jump at that opportunity to talk about the CRM, because then I can get them. So just find whatever system works for you, whether it's index cards, an online CRM, Outlook, Google, whatever you have, just put a system in place, you know. And systems are very important in a business, systems and models, and just keep up with those systems and stay on track.
Nice, great. All right. Well, Amy, I would like to thank you for your time today. It was just a pleasure here. We got a great picture of how somebody can start from scratch and do very well within a very short period of time. So I'm impressed. It was really, really good. So I'd like to thank you for your time and emulate what she did, because if she do it, why can't you?